Arabesque by Burgmuller, the second of his collection of progressive pieces, Opus 100, I noticed the left hand has redundant chords, at least for the bass section, which returns again. There's an interluding B section where the chords disappear in the left hand. But when the chords announce the piece with a little introduction, what I tend to do is I think of 2/4 time as lifting the second beat. So how do I do that physically? So 1, a little bit wrist forward, 2, 1, wrist forward, 2, just slightly. So then you get the lighter on the second beat. 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. You don't want a ponderous second beat. You want to lift the second beat. It says leggero, which is light. When the right hand comes in, naturally the left hand also is light under it. I make most of my dynamics with the right hand, especially when it says crescendo. That's going to occur mostly in the right hand. Now the notes kind of unravel, a lot of them, with 5-finger positions. It starts with a 3-note up, and step back. And to get the contour of that, I'm going to do everything in slow motion. I do this: level hand and forward, level hand and forward. If it went faster, it would say da, da, slower, short. It's a little bit wrist forward. And now these sequences of 5-finger positions, you're going to roll into the depth of the keys to get your crescendo with your arm weight transfer. So you start less, short, more, most. So for each 5-finger position, I increased my arm weight, but I still had a wrist forward at the end, and I'll show you quickly how you see that. Forward, forward, more arm weight, most. You want to roll 5 fingers forward so that the first note doesn't crash down, but you get the contour of rolling forward that way, rolling forward that way. Hang your hands. Rolling forward that way. You make sure that your thumb doesn't come crashing down because it's creating a slope of those 5 notes. A slope instead of crashing down, and then you have a flat dynamic instead of a rolling dynamic, which is so much more artistic, of course, than just robotic up and down notes that are played with a piston poking fingers. You don't want that. So now if you combine that opening A section in slow-mo, you'll get this. Remember that the second beat is lighter in this hand, but not necessarily lighter in the right hand, because the right hand's doing arm weight crescendos. So I didn't get heavier in the left hand. And that's particularly true because when you go really fast, you don't want to get sort of, get sunk into that heavy left hand that prevents the piece from having the leggero that it's asking for, and the lightness, even though you're getting the crescendo. It says scherzando, which is like jokingly scherzando. There's a lightness to it. So if you went, I'm just going back and forth with tempi to show you how this would work out. That wrist forward gives you that edge off that second beat. Okay, so now we go to the next part, which has a little bit of syncopated rhythms in it. Now you have to remember, you did the crescendo, and probably now you're at a little higher dynamic level for this next few measures. So if you came out of stay with that bigger dynamic. So you would say this is less lean, less. You want to say SF. I go to that a little slower from below. And then I go back into stay with the dynamic. So I didn't go. The reason I didn't do that on the second ending is because I have a dominant chord before that second ending, which means lean less, lean dominant, lift tonic. In my opinion, I wouldn't slam down on that. So that represents the first A section pretty much. Now he kind of flips the counterpoint. You could say sort of flips it because he doesn't have chords in the right hand now, but he puts the stream of 16ths going to eighth staccato idea in the left hand. The right hand has now another interesting melodic design, which is this. To there falter, to there falter. And then a little transition, a bridge here. So that's a little bridge, and it's sort of a sighing down bridge, which you're sighing. You're sighing down. And he tells you to make it softer and a little bit broader. Poco rallentando, diminuendo. The right hand, you have to be careful how you're contouring it. Lean and less. Lift and lean and less. And lean and less. Give it a little more here so you can make the crescendo. And that's on a dominant. In your mind, you hear a dominant under that, which brings us back to softer tonic because it's resolution. That comes back. Now, so what's tricky about this B section is the left hand has to have very even rolls of the 16th notes. So when you play slowly, I would keep a level hand until I roll forward with my wrist to the staccato eighth note. So ti-da-da-da, forward, rolling motion forward, da-da-da-da, forward, rolling motion less, da-da-da-da-da, break it, drag these notes out. It's actually doing this, da-da-da-da-da, less. Rolling motion, less. Going less to the 5 notes. The beginning you went the opposite. You went da 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 da. Now you're doing the opposite. Actually goes with the harmony. It goes with the harmony there too. Putting it together. Yeah, so that's a very tricky place because da 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 dum, resolve it because it's dominant, dominant, tonic, dominant, tonic, secondary dominant, da 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 to D minor. Yeah, so that's an interesting section in that he changes the idea of what he did at the beginning, which was continuous crescendo through 5-finger positions. Now he's doing 3 notes up and down, and then he's rolling to less. 3 notes up and down, rolling to less. That is the 5-finger position rolls to less. You did it in 2 hands, you could see it. That's exactly what's happening there. That's very tricky. Okay, so now you're falling down. You start in 6. These are parallel 6. Start with more sound and then resolve it. Actually, that's dominant, but you're resolving it here. So, but sighing down to let, and very soft. That's kind of explains that. Now, this is a little, I'm just going to go to the second ending. This is coming back to the interlude where you had the syncopated eighth notes. In the first part, it sounded like this. This time it's coming back with a dolce over it, but it still has the same rhythm, but different notes. So you have... So it's a little bit more subdued than the first time. So now we have 4 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, big, dead weight arms.